Welcome to Law and Society. Today we're going to talk about Donald Trump's nuclear police state. I'm going to look at it from two different perspectives. Donald Trump announced that he was going to resume nuclear warhead testing in the United States. And obviously, people are now going to talk about it. There's going to be, writers who come up with different arguments for why this is not a good idea. And, I put Tom Nichols' nuclear test article, Blue Sky Post, which has his gift article. So you can go and read his article about what he thinks about this announcement. But just think about what happens. Donald Trump said, so the American president said, while on his trip to Asia, after having just flown to Japan, where the only two instances of nuclear devices being used on civilians during a war happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And after leaving Japan, he talks about increasing and talks about, testing nuclear weapons instead of denuclearization, which has been the U.S. posture until Donald Trump uttered this nonsense. So you have to take him seriously because the topic is such that you can't not take him seriously. And then you put it up against the backdrop of Donald Trump's police state that's happening on the domestic front, where he's openly saying that, yeah, I can do whatever I want. I just have to invoke the act, he's inferring at the Insurrection Act. But there actually has to be a factual showing of insurrection, or Donald Trump can't legally invoke the Insurrection Act. But he's doing everything short of it. He's actually doing some things that are probably beyond the capacity of the Insurrection Act, which is deploying his federal agents under the guise of Border Patrol or ICE and going after people based on their color and based on how they speak or where they work. And so while that's happening, while National Security Presidential Memorandum 7 is being carried out around the country, the United States, creating this dragnet police state that would take in and arrest anybody who was, and indict protesters and illegally detain whom they think would be migrants who are here undocumented, or then the dragnet goes to homeless and mentally ill people, and then with NSPM 7, everybody who identifies as Antifa, that was part of the Antifa designation, and then the NSPM 7, that pretty much anybody who is anti-fascist is, ripe to be labeled a domestic terrorist. And we're seeing that happen with, so there's a congressional candidate, Kat Abu-Ghazaleh, who has been protesting at the Broadview facility for months. She was kicked around. She has been thrown around. She's this very petite woman, and to see ICE assaulting her, the first image I saw of her being assaulted, I was like, that is aggravated assault. And now she has been arrested on the charge of resisting or impeding or assaulting certain officers or employees. Because she was banging up against the DHS cars as they drove into the facility with undocumented immigrants or whomever they thought was a risk. So now Kat and Kat's 4 other protesters have been indicted on this felony charge that carries a maximum sentence of 8 years. So you have the federal government prosecuting protesters, although I have been going around and saying this over and over and over again, don't touch them. Don't touch even federal property. Don't touch the law enforcement. If they touch you, it becomes assault. If you touch them, that's also assault. This might be a peaceful society that we're living in, but over here, laws govern, and we want to be able to have the Constitution at our side. The moment you lay your hand on somebody, whether Kat was somehow assaulting somebody, an officer or not, or resisting an officer, she may have been impeding the officers going into the facility, but does that mean that she was doing it in a way that qualifies as a felony? She has been indicted. Now we'll have to see if she can be convicted for it. I don't think that a jury would convict somebody, 5 people, on this charge on the basis of them pushing and beating on the windows of a police or detention, ICE vehicles, to be assaulting officers or even impeding officers, because officers were in a big car and these are people. Unless they break the windows and slash the tires and get inside the cars, talking about a factual hypothetical here, it doesn't really rise up to the level of impeding them because they can just drive right through. So, and they did drive through. It wasn't like Kat was successful in stopping them doing their duties. She's this petite woman who is out there protesting every single day, and now the government has found a way to silence her. But I don't think she's going to be quiet about it. And there are many, many people who are being disappeared by federal agents right now that would go beyond Donald Trump's authority even under the Insurrection Act. And we really have to seriously think about where we are as a country when the president thinks that he is in the right to send in and federalize the National Guard without a state's consent and then send them in. And that's where the federal courts have drawn the line. And the Seventh Circuit has said, no, you are not going to be deployed. This TRO remains in place with Illinois. And then the Ninth Circuit, the full ruling, the full court, the full 29 judges will be reviewing Judge Immergut's restraining order that stopped Donald Trump's deployment of National Guard troops to Portland, Oregon. And then there's the case that's happening in Los Angeles, where as it stands now, I don't think that Guard is allowed to be there, although there may be Guard there, but they're not allowed to be deployed. So it's hanging in the courts. But Donald Trump keeps on targeting new jurisdictions, going out onto new cities, and doing the same exact thing in the other jurisdictions. So the Ninth Circuit, when they 29 judges convene and they talk about this and they rule on this matter, it'll be a very important step because Ninth Circuit also includes California and Oregon and Washington, and I can't tell you exactly which others, but it's a massive, massive collection of courts. and it's a big court, and so it would have that jurisdiction would then follow that court's order, absent any contravening order by the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court has now asked for further information regarding Donald Trump's deployment of National Guard troops in Illinois, which has thus far been stopped, and therefore Donald Trump's regime has gone and talked about it. So that's the National Guard stopped. But federal agents are still going around terrorizing people all around America. And that is a threat to a tranquil society. It's a threat to the general welfare of the people. It is harmful to businesses and to the community. And people and clergy have come out and said that. And while this war rages within our country, Donald Trump announces while he's on his meandering trip to Asia, after having been to Japan, that he's going to start nuclear warhead testing again. And then you have, I talked about it yesterday, then you have his war posturing with South America, with his attacks on Colombia, freezing aid, his attacks on trying to take out the Maduro regime, and then his friendship, his erratic relationship in South America. Then you have his friendship with Milley and his friendship with Bukele, and then trying to get trade started with Brazil. Donald Trump, and he's failing at these peace ventures that he's going because Israel and Hamas are back at it, even though not formally, but the reality on the ground is 100 people died in Gaza because Israel attacked after Hamas killed Israeli soldier. That's what the narrative is. That's what I'm getting in the news. But anyway, so that peace deal didn't work. So we're going to see how long the Cambodia-Thailand peace deal works. But for right now, I'll stop. But I want you to see the chaos that Donald Trump is bringing while he tries to lobby for the Nobel Peace Prize, and the disruption he's causing in the United States. And I haven't even talked about the economy today. That's a topic for several other days. But this jump to nuclear talk, it's like, in what area are you being peaceful, really? And what is your agenda that is peaceful, that is for the peace and the brotherhood of man? That is for which the Peace Prize is given. And let me end on this note on peace. When you go out to protest peacefully. Don't touch any of the federal or local or police forces, any of them. Don't even get in their way. Get out of their way if they're trying to get somewhere. But let your voices be heard. Be creative. Wear those frog costumes and dinosaurs and unicorn costumes. But do not lay your hands on them. They will use it against you. If they assault you, document it. Record what is happening at all times. Go with friends. Record everything. Take water with you. And support people like Kat, who are out there every day for the rights of people who are being deprived their basic rights. And now she has been suppressed by the state. I don't think she's going to be the first major protester and activist to get arrested, but this is a beginning. Take care of one another, everybody. Talk to you soon.